Like, boys, look, I just woke up a little bit ago, had coffee with my girl, and I just kind of jumped right online, as I usually do. And I thought I'd do something different today and just look at, just stream me. This is the kind of stuff that I do just to give you guys insight into how embedded I am into specifically making people understand the truth about things like DHT and erections on TRT. Everything I talk about, controlling estrogen, keeping it in your range, and excuse me, effectively setting the record straight out there. I'm on YouTube, and all I have searched for is a very simple phrase, which, I don't know how this isn't paramount to people, and how, you don't have a list of videos of people urging you to have high DHT on TRT.
You don't feel
that's what I search, and let's just go through this stuff. What's the first thing you see besides that ad? Does higher testosterone cause baldness?
Popular theory is that bald men have higher levels of testosterone, which makes them more masculine with higher sex drives. In 1960, a Yale doctor named James B. Hamilton studied 21 boys who were undergoing castration and did find that when there was no testosterone, there were no signs of male pattern loss as they aged. But we now know that people with even low levels of testosterone can still go bald. It's not the amount of testosterone circulating in our bloodstream that dictates baldness. It's all about the genetics.
Okay, so that tells us absolutely nothing. I'm searching for need higher DHT on TRT, something that everybody needs. This is why people have sexual dysfunction on TRT. The DHT tone is not high enough to support androgen tone, smooth muscle tone, which needs to be mid-range, not super contracted, not super relaxed, so that you could have adequate filling of the chambers of the corpus cavernosa with blood and keep it trapped there. And I get some generic, does high testosterone cause baldness? Why is this? The next one, dude, this is what's wrong with YouTube right now. This is why I'm crusading to get the information out there.
There's a lot of confusion about estradiol, and it really comes from anabolic steroids. So we don't give aromatase inhibitors anymore. We don't give Arimidex and anastrozole because most patients, when their estradiol rises, they don't even have symptoms. I have patients come in.
Okay, moving on. That's what I get when I search need higher DHT on TRT. The first two, completely irrelevant, about as fucking generic as it gets. This is why people are suffering, boys. And you got this guy. Don't worry about estrogen. Oh, yeah, no. There's only a serum cutoff of 32 picograms per milliliter in the literature, above which you're more likely to get ED. Hyperestrogenism is strongly associated with erectile dysfunction in other studies. There's only all that. There's only if you feed rats synthetic estrogen, they grow pituitary tumors, because estrogen blocks D2's ability to latch onto D2 receptors in your pituitary, thus raising prolactin. What do we got next? We got Keith Nichols from, I guess he's on a bunch of different channels, but Keith is always going to say good things about DHT. So we're going to let that go because Keith is on board with the necessity for DHT. Then we got these guys.
And dihydrotestosterone. But when would someone need to replace their dihydrotestosterone? We're going to find out after this, so keep watching.
Okay.
Experience with treating some patients with dihydrotestosterone. And we're going to ask now why he would prescribe testosterone or dihydrotestosterone, which is the metabolite of testosterone in some patients. Hi George, how are you today?
Hello Michael, I'm fine.
So why do some patients need exogenous dihydrotestosterone?
5 times more.
This is important.
Testosterone that binds tightly to its HPG and can liberate more free testosterone. It has zero conversion to estrogen, and of course we have the other metabolite of the testosterone, which is estradiol, more of a female hormone. Now, when we block the one metabolite, then we increase the other. So if we take and the estrogen by blocking it too, we increase the HT. This is interesting.
Okay, I'm not going to go through all that, but what they're saying is generally right. Yeah, you take an aromatase inhibitor, you will increase DHT. But I think I've watched some of this video, and they do go on to say some men will need more DHT on TRT. So this is a good thing. So of the top 3 videos, we got Keith Nichols, who is saying good shit regarding DHT like he always does. So he's on board. And we got these 2 from Balance My Hormones, which are generally in the right area of, in this case, suggesting DHT therapy, in some cases on TRT when you just might need more. Now, as we go down, again, I searched need higher DHT on TRT. This is
for
this
men,
kind of bullshit
anytime after the age of 18, realistically, male pattern loss will kick in. So it's really when your testosterone begins to peak after puberty that you are going to end up converting testosterone. Happens. So let's just say you're 18 years old, your total testosterone is 1,000. Your DHT on a blood test is probably around 40. It will actually
First of all, what? An 18-year-old's test is 1,000? I don't think so, bro. I don't think so. DHT 40 at 1,000 tests? You have a problem there. That's not normal. Right? So this is the kind of crap. We scroll down. We got Peter Attia on testosterone, DHT, and prostate cancer. We got him and Huberman. Yeah. Can you lower DHT and raise testosterone?
By inhibiting 5-alpha reductase, then you are going to decrease the conversion of testosterone to DHT. So the increased testosterone, for example, if you're on finasteride, a lot of times your testosterone will go up by 10%.
Okay, useless. What are we really talking about? Let's see what
testosterone acts as a precursor hormone in the body for the synthesis of DHT, which is the most potent alpha hormone that men produce. Now, many of the beneficial effects of testosterone is actually via its conversion into DHT, and blocking the conversion of testosterone into DHT eliminates these benefits.
Yeah, okay. Totally cool. It's a short. We'll give him that. He's right, though. Let's see what David is
What
saying.
about anti-estrogens? Most experts that I know are against them. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I've written a book on this. The problem that we have with the estrogen, we are bombarded with xenoestrogens and phytoestrogens, which are external estrogens to the body that we're getting from the modern diet and lifestyle. That stuff is objectively bad for you. But blocking your body's own conversion of testosterone to estrogen is not helping that situation, because the estrogens that you make internally play really important biological functions in the body.
Okay, totally true. AIs aren't for everybody. Got it. We love Dave, so we will move on. What is this? Try this if you are estrogen sensitive. I'm curious about what this is.
If you're trying to tolerate more testosterone in your stack design, one of the first things that I look at is injection frequency. We know the farther and less frequent that these injections get, you're going to have more peaks and troughs in testosterone, which also is peaks and troughs in estradiol. If you're someone that has a greater sense.
Okay, you're mentioning nothing about DHT. Again, need higher DHT on TRT, the critical cornerstone of DHT, a point I'm trying to make to everybody. You search that, and this is the kind of BS that you get. Will testosterone replacement therapy make you go
Does
bald?
testosterone replacement will have some degree of male pattern hair loss? And interestingly, Asian, Native American, as well defined in terms of if your mom has hair loss.
Generic bullshit! Moving on! God damn it. High estrogen on TRT. Should you be taking an aromatase inhibitor? YouTube is showing us nothing about needing higher DHT on TRT.
High estrogen on testosterone replacement therapy. Should you take an aromatase inhibitor? To be the bad class.
No, just recycled nonsense, whatever. I mean, nobody cares, honestly. Nobody cares. I love getting the emails and the Telegram messages like, hey, dude, you are the only person on YouTube breaking this stuff down at a granular level. Everything else is generic. Yeah, exactly. And it's sad. This is just an exemplification of how sad the state of the TRT Intersphere is. This is this guy disclosing his, okay, Derek, do you need DHT to build muscle?
Reaching full maturity, perhaps is a more accurate statement. So during puberty, men with deficiency in this enzyme do not develop much facial hair, body hair, notably no androgenic alopecia. And this is kind of the inception of some of these hair loss prevention drugs, which operate via this enzyme pathway. But anyways, and they also have a small prostate. Many males with 5AR deficiency are actually raised as female until they hit puberty because they didn't have enough DHT to markedly differentiate themselves as males pre-puberty. So
yeah, I mean, you know, this is DHT to build muscle, but it's a pretty important point, right? I mean, DHT is what makes us men. Hey, just go on a Proviron cycle with your testosterone and push to higher doses, 50 milligrams, and watch how much more manly you feel. Yeah, you'll have hair growth at certain spots in your body where you previously, you know, couldn't do it, couldn't grow hair. Your voice is going to be deeper. You were going to feel a lot more masculine and centered. To the contrary, people that have elevated estrogen and not enough DHT on TRT often think their girlfriends are cheating on them, their wives are cheating on them, they're looking at their phones, they're anxious about when they're coming home. All female behavior. Anyway, as we move on, what do we get? Do we really get anything that tells us need higher DHT on TRT, specifically for erection quality? We're going to search erections for a second. This is a good breakdown by Nutrition Library. It talks about the benefits of DHT and is essentially mildly refuting the notion that DHT is a trash hormone. The impact of DHT on testosterone levels. How is that fucking relevant, dude? Total versus T. Yeah, okay. Kind of relevant. It just hair loss on it's the same thing. It's just like there is just nothing here. I'm surprised YouTube isn't showing any of my videos on need higher DHT on TRT, but I guess I've just not phrased them that way for the SEO of YouTube. We got these guys again.
Link in the description. So that's going to do it, you know, to start. Secondly, there are many things in the diet and there are many things in lifestyle that can mess.
Okay, so that's low DHT on TRT. So this happens. This is a problem. At least they're highlighting that. It looks like Dave is taking the lifestyle route, which is part of it. But in the end, lifestyle will not, you know, it's, and Dave, you got to, I'm glad he fixed his audio and setup because a smart guy like Dave needs a good setup. But, you know, in the end, lifestyle is not going to really change all that much. You know, you just need to have a bias toward enough androgen tone with enough DHT and enough long-standing, less dissociative agonism of the androgen receptors in the penis and elsewhere in order to, and you're going to do that on cream, you know, frankly, or using exogenous DHT. That's one of the reasons I'm such a big proponent of exogenous DHT. I mean, it saves people's protocols. You got Huberman, how to optimize testosterone and estrogen. Irrelevant. Okay, maybe some good details in there, but what we're looking for, not right. What is the testosterone level for different age groups? Fucking generic. Why? Okay, let's do something else. Let's go with DHT erections. If I can spell right. Maybe I need some nootropics, brothers. Okay, DHT erections on TRT. This is perhaps the most important topic to anyone that's on androgen replacement therapy, and why are we not getting the first couple videos that are urgently saying you need DHT and more DHT on TRT, especially if you're having erectile issues. Does testosterone help erections?
Hey, Dr. Kentelay here, board certified urologist practicing in South Carolina. So I want to address a question that kind of comes up with a lot of frequency and there's a lot of confusion about it, and that is, what will testosterone make better? So many men who get a testosterone check have erectile dysfunction, and they believe that the testosterone replacement therapy will improve their ED. While it does in some cases, the symptoms most predominantly affected by testosterone replacement are increase in energy levels and increase in libido and exercise tolerance. Erections can be improved marginally, but they're not improved dramatically in most patients. I find that men who are on the edge of responding to...
Sorry, fell asleep. Yeah, I mean,
hey,
just, what is it even, dude? What... I sometimes feel like I'm walking out of an insane asylum because, like, the degree of nuance that people employ when they talk about this stuff is so fucking abysmal that it's like, why do you even talk? As we go on. Anything about DHT and erections? Surprising ways testosterone can impact libido, both good and bad. Okay. I got these guys again. Is your estradiol too high on TRT? Don't worry about it. Boys, this is the problem. TRT and erections from bonkers to stonkers. I've watched this. I don't think he mentions DHT a whole lot. Again, we're looking for the emphasis on DHT for erectile quality, right? It is the sole driver of the maintenance and the health of your erection quality. And I'm just not seeing anything. I'm not seeing it. I'm not even seeing my videos. This might be a time for me to go look at why the algorithm. Here we go. ED on TRT. This is why and how to fix it. Now let's look at all that. Video is for what was just said, and then let's just take a look at this. Listen up. This video is for you. Let's talk about how estrogen is going to rise as well. Test converts to estrogen. If your body's got 1,500 to 2,000 nanograms per deciliter of testosterone, total test, that is in your blood, and over range free testosterone, well, where's it going to go? It's got two metabolites, DHT and estradiol. So more is going to convert to estradiol, and that's okay. However, that's not true. It's not okay to have more estradiol. Just because your body does that naturally does not mean it is good. It means your body has too much testosterone, and it's just doing what it does, which is convert to estrogen. This is the paper I will continue to come back to. It is titled The Association Between Elevated Serum Estradiol. Okay, well, let's get to the DHT stuff. Oh, we need estradiol. It can listen up. It's really that simple, guys. Now, let's switch to DHT. The other reason that you've got ED on TRT is you don't have enough DHT. Now, this can happen for a variety of reasons, and usually it happens on longer esters like cypionate or enanthate when you're converting a lot to estradiol, which they typically tend to do, and you don't end up having enough DHT. And that's usually when people go down to ultra low doses like 110 or 100 milligrams a week or 120, and the E2 falls at 25 where it's supposed to be, but then DHT is kind of low normal. We've been through all this before, but just to sort of hammer it home, this is a paper titled The Effects of Oral Finasteride, which is a DHT blocker, on erectile function in a rat model, in which via blocking DHT, they found that in 4 weeks of doing that, it reduced the weight of the corpus cavernosum, the spongy tissue of the penis, where a lot of test gets converted to DHT via 5-alpha reductase enzymes and is extremely necessary for the health of the endothelium and nitric oxide signaling. After 4 weeks, it didn't affect the erectile response in response to electrical nerve stimulation, but after 6 weeks, 8 weeks, it almost definitely will. But the weight of the penis reduced from blocking DHT. Wow! So it took me 16 minutes when searching for need high DHT on TRT, DHT erections on TRT, to find one guy who is fucking breaking this down. We're living in a TRT internet sphere lunacy mode, bro. One guy, and it's fucking me. Explaining the DHT estrogen axis. Listen up. This video is for erections when you try Proviron. Why? Well, Proviron actually does two of the things that we want. Increases the DHT-like effect and blocks estrogen to an extent, albeit a minor extent. If you run 50 to 75 of Proviron a day. So we found one. We found one, boys. This is the problem. This is the problem. Guys, you guys need to like every single video. Everybody that watches the content needs to like it. Why? We need to get this information out to people. All right? It's not out there. It's not. No one is focusing on the critical necessity for enough DHT on TRT. Look, you're on cypionate, the estrogen's at 35, your DHT is 50, you have ED. The reason is you don't have enough DHT. Okay, you're on cream, you rub all of it on your shoulder or your inner thighs per your doctor. Your DHT is 90, estrogen is 45. The DHT estrogen axis is skewed. You have ED. Yeah, you need more DHT and a little less estrogen. In almost every case of ED on TRT, DHT is the centerpiece of that. It either needs to be higher or the E2 needs to be a little lower, and so that it can stop essentially mucking with DHT's ability to optimize the endothelium, increase nitric oxide synthase expression, foster blood being trapped in the corpus cavernosa, improve smooth muscle function by more precursor cells converting into said smooth muscle, which DHT is the only androgen capable of doing, by the way. What else? As we scroll down, T-to-E ratio. Okay, again, we love daily, but the T-to-E ratio is not your concern. It's just not, because this leaves out the entire notion of how much of your testosterone is converting into DHT. Okay, if you think about it from a testosterone estrogen ratio perspective, I mean, think about the basis of that phrase. Where in that phrase is the word DHT? Where is it? Now, these guys probably, because Dave is good with DHT, goes into it, but maybe not. A TDE ratio, I mean, look, I'd hate to talk in extremes, but it's fucking useless. The DHT estrogen ratio is where you need to be focused. What else? This is the side effects of taking
the side effects of testosterone are, decreased fertility, decreased testicular size are the biggest ones, and you get an increase.
Get me out of here! Oh my god, generic bullshit. Wow. I just fell asleep, dude. I just fell asleep. Androgel versus testosterone.
A question we get all the time about the cream is this question about androgel, right? Because we have a lot of guys that are taking androgel. So for some of you who don't know, androgel is basically, or hormone replacement therapy is testosterone. It's applied onto the skin. It comes in little packets and it gets absorbed into the skin. Androgel is not bioidentical. Androgel is
fast forward,
transparent to your children.
I'm already going to
transparent
sleep.
to your dog.
I'm already
to
falling
your cat,
asleep.
Your goldfish. Is one of the questions we have is like, does androgel work?
I'm now dreaming.
Androgel does work.
I've fallen asleep.
Many
I'm
guys
dreaming
who are taking androgel and their testosterone levels
coffee.
are up. So then next question, well, what's better, right? Should I be taking androgel?
Dreaming
or
of
should I be
pizza.
taking, coffee?
Boring! Who cares? You're telling us nothing. Before you take DHT blockers for hair loss, watch this.
DHT blockers for your hair and
Well, it's probably good in telling you to. Here we go. It took that long. Here's one. This is the second one. The only second one. And it's me. Exogenous DHT on TRT, the 4 best use cases, right? Where I'm explaining the breakdown of when you need to use a milligram of DHT on the scrotum. Usually when you don't have enough DHT on TRT, which happens frequently, and erection quality is failing. I just want to make this point, and I want to talk to all the other TRT YouTubers just for a second. Why, besides Keith Nichols and Dave Lee, why are you guys not highlighting the significance of DHT? Why? Are you afraid that like that psychological phenomenon where 18 people are in a room and they separate one of them and they ask everybody, hey, what color is on the screen? And the 17 people say blue, but the other person that's in a different room clearly sees green and then goes, I guess it's blue, right? Social proof. He's just doing what other people fucking say. The pharmaceutical industry is so aggressively anti-DHT because they sell drugs that block DHT, which are extremely profitable, which they've been sued for. A guy jumping in front of a train and having depression, and it's been proven they cause erectile dysfunction. So maybe people are just like, don't want to stir the hornet's nest out there, don't want to go against the status quo. What kind of fucking man are you if you don't want to go against, you're afraid to go against the status quo? Here's a good one. Estrogen needs to stay in a narrow range of erectile function on TRT. To get guys to look. True. That range changes for people, and it's not always the same. It's not exclusively 20 to 35. The only people that are tolerating 45 have high enough tissue DHT. That's a fact. 2 of the best guys, all right? 2 of the best guys right here. Finally.
Testosterone and all of the rodent studies and all of the human studies. To what degree is minoxidil systemically inhibiting DHT?
I don't think minoxidil does, but ketoconazole does. Because that inhibits several steps in the sex hormone cascade. So I made a video about this, about steroidogenesis inhibitors. It's the real reason why you feel like shitty on medications, basically. Yeah. You see that ketoconazole inhibits like 4 steps, and minoxidil inhibits 2 steps. Aromacin doesn't inhibit any steps, but Arimidex inhibits the synthesis or the metabolism of cholesterol. This is one of the reasons why total cholesterol and LDL are so much higher.
In 30 seconds, Vigorous Steve just gave us more nuance than any other of those generic BS videos. Why isn't more of this? I got to do another video with Vigorous Steve, dude. I've got to, dude. That's why I appreciate him so much, because he's one of the only other guys that talks about any of this stuff from a nuanced perspective. It's like what you have is most YouTubers on TRT, like everything we just watched. I just proved it. It's just generic 50,000 foot view bullshit we've all heard. Tell me something I don't know. Tell me something I haven't heard 1,000 times to the point of wanting to throw up. Please. Like do a little bit of the diligence. have a little bit of high standards to make something new and creative that is getting to the crux of these matters. Let's see what Dave says about who benefits from DHT in addition to their TRT.
10% DHT liposomal cream. And he asked if it would be interesting
They're talking about
to
20%
add that
DHT
next to the TRT
on top
cream.
of TRT.
What's your opinion on that?
I've been trialing this personally. I've just finished up using it for a couple of months. I wanted to trial it myself before I made any comments or recommendations on it. What I found was that adding any amount of additional DHT cream to the existing 20% transscrotal testosterone cream I was using induced low estrogen side effects. It hurt my joints quite profoundly. And I tried, different dosing, 1 click a day, up to 4 clicks a day, adjusting the baseline testosterone dose to be able to accommodate more DHT. I think you get so much DHT conversion already from the transscrotal cream.
Yeah, he's right. I mean, DHT can absolutely act like an aromatase inhibitor. It both suppresses the genes that make aromatase enzymes and stops after agonism of estrogen receptors, the estrogen-mediated gene expression. So, that can give you low estrogen-like symptoms. I mean, plenty of people take too much proviron or their testos is too low and they take proviron and they get joint pain and stuff. So this is really not relevant because, Dave was on cream, which already converts to a lot of DHT. Oh, what else? Truth about DHT blockers. I think this is like a debate between these two guys. Where Dave was being friendly and that's cool, but if I'm on the other side with somebody who is promoting the use of 5-alpha reductase inhibitors, especially if they're not looking at the clinically documented negatives, I am going to be raising my voice. But yeah, I guess saner heads prevail, man. Still experiencing erectile dysfunction on TRT. How to improve testosterone with PDE5s and PDE5s? Irrelevant. It's just. Oh, what do you know? This guy. Look at that guy. Look, we've seen him before. You take anybody who's got estrogen in a great place, but whose DHT isn't particularly high and the libido is just not super great, but estrogen's sitting like 27, 30 or so, and add a little bit, just not a lot. You really don't need a lot of exogenous DHT, like the 20% stuff on Source List or, whatever DHT that you might, injectable DHT people are getting out there on the underground. And watch your libido for women upgrade into an aggressive animalistic-like libido. Libido problems on TRT are not hard to solve. Erection problems on TRT are not hard to solve. It is the same stuff that I have been talking about. What's hard and what makes it a science is you don't know how your body's going to respond to particular esters. It's that guy. Dude, look, so we went through all that. Okay, Dave Lee, Keith Nichols, they touched on it. They're pro DHT. Got it. So what? And Vigorous Steve is pro DHT and is nuanced, much more nuanced than those guys or anybody. It's like me and Steve are the nuanced people here. We went through all that. And the discussion about DHT and erections and libido on TRT and the necessity for DHT is fucking dominated by one guy. Me. Just me. This is a problem. Now look, my whole life, I have been the innovator in everything. I have been not contrarian, but a little bit of the black sheep-ish kind of dude, and I have done wild, crazy things that no one thought I was capable of doing or could do while, my peers were stuck in their little, robot box of sitting in a cubicle or, making $70K a year or, like, never doing anything fucking extraordinary. So to me, it's not surprising why I'm, virtually the only one emphasizing the most critical rule in TRT, which is have enough DHT. I'm just a little disappointed in everybody else. YouTube shows us if you start TRT and didn't actually need it, will you become reliant on it for life? I typed DHT erections on TRT, dude. DHEA, illegal testosterone precursor after 40. Generic bullshit. Oh my God. We like Rand McClain. Generic. Who cares?
Started working with a blood
I like
testing
Chris,
company.
But who cares? Up. What do we got? What do we got? Another guy talking about DHT and erections on TRT. It's me again. This is a problem, dude. Look, man, this is why you guys on Reddit are lost. You know, you guys are walking around with high testosterone and ED on TRT. Can't figure it out. You're taking AIs, your joints hurt, you lose your mental libido. Erections don't get any better. You have a fleeting window if you take an AI within which erections are perfect and libido is perfect, but you just bounce right out of that window. Taking estrogen too low. You know, why people are up there going, hey, my clinic told me never manage estrogen. Don't look at it. I'm doing 210 milligrams a week, 30 milligram injections every day, 250 IUHG 3 times a week, and I can't get an erection. This is why. This is why, dude. Because no one's talking about the DHT estrogen axis. No one is highlighting the importance of DHT for erections. No one is breaking down the science, as I have ad nauseum, of DHT and penile endothelium, nitric oxide, corpus cavernosa function, smooth muscle function, the progenitor cells of smooth muscle, fat deposits in the penis, collagen deposition. These are things that happen when you limit DHT. Why isn't anyone talking about this? Understanding the benefits of tadalafil. Who cares? Tadalafil is not going to save you if you have a crappy protocol on TRT. I've seen that. Full stop. Over and over again. 20 milligrams Cialis. It's still, a guy still has ED. Another one. DHT, not estrogen as a driver, libido on TRT. Let's get into it. It's both. It's both. Estrogen needs to be in range, but this was highlighting the critical significance of DHT. Is testosterone replacement therapy safe? That's what they show us when DHT erections on TRT. Generic, boring, I'm sleeping. What causes erectile dysfunction and what can be done to treat it? I bet they won't talk about DHT. Testosterone, hair loss. Like what? So I'll just DHT on TRT. I don't want to show me that one again. Let's see what Rand says about this, because I trust Rand.
4 years old and have been on TRT for about 10 years now. On about 350 milligrams of Test per week.
Well,
take 2.5 milligrams of letrozole a day.
God,
holy moly! I have noticed about 3 years ago I started to experience ED. Yeah, I'll bet. We're going to help this person, I can tell already. I have tried natural subs and other remedies, but nothing worked. I take 10 milligrams of Cialis and that works, but what to fix the root cause? My blood pressure is 140. Letrozole is typically reserved for really recalcitrant cases of aromatization. And it's very, very rare. I mean, I can't.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're going to get ED on TRT if you're crushing your estrogen. So that's essentially the base. Let's see if he mentions DHT.
Think of burying your estrogen, and we touched on this earlier. Minimizing it, or I should say, oversuppressing it a little bit, can cause issues. It's rare, but with letrozole, because you're burying it.
Yeah, he's not going to discuss DHT. Yeah. I mean, you just that is like a hammer when you would need a scalpel instead if you want to get estrogen down just a little bit. What are the side effects of TRT? 5 signs of height. Bro, I searched DHT erections on TRT. This is what YouTube gives
5 signs that you might have high testosterone. Deep voice. Muscle mass and strength. Oh. Increased assertiveness. Go away. Frequency of erections. High sex drive.
The fuck did I just watch, man? The ideal testosterone to estrogen ratio. We like Derek, but again, why isn't anyone talking about the DHT estrogen ratio? Oh! What do you know? That guy again. When to add DHT to your protocol and how. Supercharge sexual function, PFS, and more. I'm the only one, dude. I just don't get it. I do not get this. I do not get this. I don't get this. Wow. YouTube is suffering. YouTube is suffering. Yeah, so what did we find? Let's talk about what we found here. We found that, like, if you're trying to understand that DHT, like, what's wrong with erection quality on TRT, and you go and look on YouTube and search the keywords that one would need to search it in order to try to figure this out, you're getting nothing. This is why, I'll tell you what, I get emails every day. Found you on YouTube. It seems like you're speaking directly to me. This is the first I'm hearing of any of this. Look, I'm perfectly happy being the innovator in the space. Perfectly happy. But why? Why am I the sole innovator in the space? TRT YouTubers, why? Am I the only one that's like, you know, hyper emphasizing the DHT estrogen ratio, the DHT estrogen axis, the intracellular and interhemodynamic norms of DHT relative to erectile quality? Why am I the only one talking about this? Why? I suppose I can answer some questions in the meantime. I just want to look at the chat and see what's gone on here. Let me find the browser. See what we come up with here. Random live stream, all in. Let's go. In all honesty, after consuming info here, 90% of other channels don't come close. Love that. That's what I'm trying to say. Not toot my own horn. I'm fucking mad at everybody else. Can you address this? The paper stating E2 cutoff around 34 was done on natties. Does still apply to TRT guys? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they also mentioned that independent of your levels of testosterone, it's still a cutoff. Now, again, the truth of the matter is, if you have pretty goddamn dominant DHT, you can push the estrogen higher. But then you get water retention as well, potentially the nipple stuff, but ultimately the behavioral high blood pressure, the behavioral aspects of high estrogen, where you think your woman's cheating on you and you're going through her phone and you're acting like a woman. It's just, you feel less masculine. It's just, estrogen is not something that we need to be skyrocketing. It can make you feel really physically good, but it comes with a cost. It always does. One drop at 2.5 milligrams per milliliter. Letrozole increases DHT very well. Oh, wow. Once a week. Yeah. You're that's what you're going to do. Test can only go two ways. Estradiol, DHT. You block one pathway, it converts more to another. The same thing is true in the opposite catastrophic version of that, which is where if you block DHT, you get more estrogen. Finally, someone saying, well, those of us on TRT for decades have found out the hard way. Absolutely, bro. Yeah, sorry that 10 years ago there wasn't somebody out there highlighting this. I just don't understand. Again, I think it's that psychological experiment. People are much less likely to want to stir the hornet's nest or go against what is status quo. So, they're just just not highlighting it. I unfortunately take dutasteride, but I do a very low dose. Good luck, brother. I'm playing Russian roulette with your sexual function. How important is supplementing zinc for RT? Not very important. Makes a lot of sense. Levels of high E2 50. I feel like a woman and getting emotional so bad and reacting fast in little situations. You're thinking a lot, thinking about people are doing me dirty. Yeah, bro. It's just what happens. This is completely and utterly what happens, man. It happens to the best of us. Like when I went on cycle, dude, I was dating at the time, and I remember being I just felt so inferior. I wasn't my normal DHT masculine self, and it was hard. Like when I was dating, I was an absolute fucking stud, man. If it was sex that I wanted, 9 times out of 10 that night. I mean, first date, I swear to God. But at points when I had high E2, specifically when going on cycle, and I was trying to see where does it go, I'm going to not manage it for a little bit here and see where it goes, and then I'll decide what to do. I just felt like I was not masculine. God forbid. Like, oh God, trust me, I just get it tested and it works. Man, you got to promote yourself through YouTube ads. Yeah, maybe think about it. But again, it's just, yeah, maybe I should think about that. I don't know. I've got the budget for it. Yeah, I am now, brother. I just said I had to just strongly emphasize how stupid it is that if I type DHT and erections on TRT on YouTube, I get generic bullshit. I added DHT cream to my test prop injections, amazing calmness. Yeah, if you think about what differentiates men and women insofar as how we behave, we have a stoic, centered, masculine calmness versus estrogenic females, right? That's why we're men and they're women, dude. To suggest that we should be increasing that hormone that makes them the way they are, it's absurd. My E-Twit 70 had me acting like a female, finally resolved it with Aromasin. Yeah, another case in point. I mean, this is just the kind of crap that happens, dude. Hey, maybe you didn't know any better. Maybe you were taking the advice of the other guys. Like, now you know. Now you know. Now you know. Dude, I hated being high estrogen when I was on the beginning of the cycle. Dude, it was only like 3-4 weeks. I got that Aromasin in me so fast, man. Instantly better. Cured the ED that I had, too. Yeah, me and Steve have to collaborate. Steve just seems to be doing somewhat of a different thing. A little less talk on TRT and much more his forte, which is ABs and stuff. But, you know, we got to get back on it, man. How much DHT cream if I'm taking TRT to prove erections? Not much. Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about the DHT oil, the 20% stuff, what you should really do is dilute it down to 1 milligram a drop. You can ask ChatGPT to get close to that. It's going to ask you to take an entire dropper, fill it, and then see how many drops is in that dropper so that it gets an accurate representation of how many drops per an entire dropper. And then it's going to give you, hey, reconstitute this with 7 or 8 milliliters of MCT oil, MCT oil, and that's what you should use. And then, you know, you get close to 1 milligram a drop. 1 on the scrotum every other day would be my answer. Hyper responder brother. People largely aren't intelligent enough to understand nuance and complexity on this level. It may be a while before we see this catch on, even though it's correct. It's always the case that that's the case. You know, there's always people screaming at the rooftops about something, and guess what people think about them before it becomes mainstream knowledge? That they're crazy. And that's why I feel like I'm coming out of the insane asylum sometimes. You know, I feel like people think I'm crazy. Dude, I am an extremely practical guy. I do not, dude, I do not make rash decisions. I do not take risks. I save my money. You know, I have done extremely well over the years where, you know, I've got more money in the bank and saved up than anyone that I fucking know. And I live in a 2-bedroom house. Like I am, in other words, I am a responsible, practical guy that operates purely on logic. You know, I'm not out here just like telling everyone they're wrong about DHT because I'm trying to be contrarian. It's just what I'm seeing in the literature. The part of the thing that's so cataclysmically disturbing is that it's all very clear in the literature how much DHT aids erections. You block it, you get the fat deposits, collagen deposition, reduction in the progenitor cells that make your smooth muscle. All the literature on hyperestrogenism and erectile dysfunction. It blows my mind. It blows my mind, dude. Anyway, boys, I'm not going to make actual content today, so I figured I would the purpose of this stream was letting you into what I do every day. You know, in the morning after coffee and talking about the business of life with Jill, my girlfriend, you know, we part ways and I am looking at, you know, research, TRT stuff, DHT, and it's like, you know, today I just happened to search YouTube and see like what is out there regarding some of these very prevalent topics, and it's nothing. It's generic BS that puts you to sleep, that tells you stuff you already know and doesn't give you anything useful at all. And then there's me. You know, everybody needs to do better, okay? You're putting out content, do better. Do better. Do better. You know, no one cares if you have 100,000 subscribers because somehow you got in a good stretch of the algorithm or whatever. No one cares. They care if you're telling the truth. They care if you have something profound to tell them. They respect you if you have something good to tell people. You know, if you're talking about TRT on YouTube, step up your game, dude. Everybody, stop giving generic bullshit. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Or you're you know, what your stuff is resonating with is the lowest level of folks out there. Great audience. Great audience. You know, we're trying to get people like awake over here. Awake, brothers. All right, I'm gonna end the stream. I got some stuff I've got to get done, some business stuff to do. Love you guys. Thanks for listening to me riff. I just needed to riff about that, man. I really did. I really needed to riff. Kick-ass rock on. Boys, just launched. I don't know if I can have actually a picture of this. Mastering Libido and Erections on TRT. I mean, look, so many problems are solved when you understand the DHT estrogen axis. Just go get this playbook. Plus, I mean, if you're rolling along your endeavor to dial in sex function on TRT, you need a guidebook. It's not been created. It's not out there. I built it. It is live right now. livecortex.com. Go grab a copy. All right, boys. I'll see you for content tomorrow. Thanks for letting me riff. Really appreciate it, man. You guys are like my therapist, dude. Appreciate it, man. Love you, boys. All right. Peace. Peace.